So thank you very much and welcome everyone. I'd like to introduce you to our Central Pennsylvania Career Pathways Partnership Program. And joining me today is a few of our partners to help in presenting. So my name is Jennifer Hain. I'm the director at Sun Area Technical Institute. And also with me, I have Bernadette Burkle. She works as a Chief Outreach Officer at the Central Susquehanna IU Unit 16. And Dr. Sandra Maddox. She is the Director of Curriculum at Mifflinburg Area School District, which is one of our sending districts in this partnership. And also Alexa Hahn. She's with Advanced Central PA and serves as our Youth Programs Manager. So thank you, ladies, for joining us today and help sharing in our partnership. Our goal for this session today is to share the path to pathways with all of you. And we're going to cover the who, the where, the what, the why, and how during this presentation. Please feel free to ask questions at any time. We expect that this hour will go by pretty quickly, and there's lots of information that we're not sharing today. So if we're letting something out that sparks a question with you, please feel free to reach out. We've also provided our emails in the presentation so that you can reach out to us afterwards if you should have more questions. So again, thank you for choosing to join us today. Our partnership started back in 2016 with a goal to build a community group that would bring all pieces about career awareness together for the benefit of our community. As part of this partnership, we drew partners from our 5 sending districts here that serve Sun Area Technical Institute. So it's the Lewisburg District, Mifflinburg, Midwest, Selinsgrove, and Shikellamy. In the partnership, we also wanted to include the Central Susquehanna Intermediate Unit because they're a strong resource to all of our schools within the IU region. Finally, SunTech is a strong PC Now partner. So with that, we also wanted to include some background information and post-secondary opportunities. On our community side, we invited the IU, or I'm sorry, not the IU, but the Workforce Development Board. So that brought on Advanced Central PA. We also brought in Central Susquehanna Opportunities. This is an organization that provides services to our community to help meet their needs in housing, food, career opportunities, such as through CareerLink. So they serve a host of the basic needs to our community members. So they were important to this partnership. We also brought on the Greater Susquehanna Valley Chamber, who strives as part of their strategic plan to focus on workforce. So they were also an important member, as well as the Greater Susquehanna Valley United Way. Again, the initiatives that they have for youth, but also for families as a complete unit. And finally, the Susquehanna Valley Community Education Project was an initiative here locally to bring a community college to the central region. Now, to share a little bit more about our partnership, now that you know who is involved with it, is we're not in a unique organization. As you can see, the stars located on the map, and there are others that are joining currently. This program was started through the Department of Education in the Career and Technical Department. The opportunity through what's called the Technical Assistance Program allows any career and technical school across the state to work with a coach from NC3T. So this is a partnership, or if you want to call it coaching sessions, that are provided free of charge to CTCs across the state. And these are those that have taken part in this partnership to start up a collaborative effort. What I need to share with you today is that our effort is a bit unique. And that's what's nice about these partnerships. The coach from NC3T works with you to design a partnership that best suits your region. So know that none of us across the state are exactly alike. Why do this partnership? And this was our biggest piece of what we started out with, is to look for individuals in the community that are passionate and want to invest in our students, invest in our communities, and have what I call not a have or a have not. And a lot of people ask, what do you mean by that? And a lot of times what we found is that students, depending who you knew or what type of profession your parent was in, you maybe had more access to career awareness or a chance to get out in the community and go to work with a neighbor, a relative, or your parent. And if you didn't know the right person, maybe even as an educator, have that connection to that specific business, you may have not had an opportunity to be engaged with that particular business. We also knew businesses were getting overwhelmed with calls from teachers and schools, and there was a point where they couldn't handle anymore either. So it began to be a part where some students had opportunities and others didn't, or for district exposure. So we collaboratively came together to create a partnership that would allow all access to all people, all districts equally, and also share resources, not just within our region, but across the state with the other partnerships. So we have each other to play off best practices. Our goals out of this, again, was to improve student attendance at school, have them understand why academics play an important part in their careers moving forward, increase student engagement and motivation, increase their career and life readiness so that they're prepared, not only, and we'll talk about that today, not just to go on to post-secondary or join the workforce, but as an individual of their community. We also know there's a population of disconnected youth, and we want to bring those students back into the fold so that they can be productive members in our community. With that, this would lead to a talent pool of entry-level workers prepared to meet employers' demands. We also knew a problem we have locally is college debt, as well as college completion. Looking at our local data, our districts ranged anywhere from 36% to mid 40% of students that completed college in 6 years. So that's a bit more than what we'd like to have, of course, currently. So that's a huge hurdle. Is a lot of students were starting college. We had good rates there, but they dropped out within the first year, never finished. And many were also going on as an exploration piece. So part of our marketing awareness is to help parents and students and educators alike understand that college is not the job. College is a method to get you to the career where you want to be. It's more important to know from our local business leaders, employers, what type of skill sets do I need to walk in with? And one of our local employers describes that best. I may only need one engineer, but I need 50 technicians on the floor. So, and that's where we found another host of students were unable to find jobs in their chosen majors at college and ended up taking a job that they could have gotten regardless without the college debt. So now that you know a little bit about our goals with this, we want to talk about our mission and vision. Before I do that though, I do want to talk about the TAP program a little bit more. As I mentioned, our SunTech is the holder of that coach, if you want to refer to them as that. And each CTC, again, across the state can apply for this program every year. So it's not too late to join. Working collectively, we have set a mission and vision that we create a comprehensive career education strategy to create opportunities and resources for all schools to share and bring the workforce together, or business and industry together, to create that workforce that we need to keep our community prosperous. Our vision by 2023 is that students serve to be, again, motivated. They understand their career interests. They're not going to college to find their way. They're financially literate, and also, most importantly, civic minded. We need them to invest in the community, and not just on a community service side. We also need them in all areas to keep us as a prosperous community as we experience today. Now that you have a little bit more background about our partnership, and again, it works well coming together, circling around our career and technical school, because we have like minds in what we need here and the service to the students and families we provide. But we're going to show you how we did some of that today. And I'm going to ask some of my partners to jump in, but we're going to talk about a toolkit and fact sheets that we created as part of this partnership, as well as some career trees. And you might have heard that term from Mark Perna before if you follow Mark. We also came out with what we call the creation of a portrait of a graduate. What are we looking for in our students? What do we want them to stand behind? What should employers know or expect our students to create? District implementation, we'll hear from Dr. Maddox today about some pieces she's using in her district. And finally, path to careers, which Alexa with the Workforce Development Board, Advanced Central PA will share. I'm going to start with the toolkit piece today. As you see at the top of the slide, there is a link to our website at SunTech. This currently resides at the SunTech website, but we are looking to host it with our Path to Careers that Alexa will talk with lately or a little bit later on. But in here, each of these areas here, a partnership video gives you a little overview of our community partners and what we wanted to achieve with this partnership, as well as our mission and vision. But you also see we have links for business and employers, students and parents, and teachers and educators. We decided and felt it was most necessary to educate all levels about what we need in education to meet future ready, but also for stakeholders to understand what business employers need. So in these tabs, you will find messages and various resources for individuals for teachers and educators. How do you talk to a student about careers? Why should a kindergartner be exploring? What are some resources that you can use to introduce careers in your classroom? And why do we as educators no longer need to promote the 4-year degree, College for All philosophy, but make it more about the total career package and then determine the education needed? For students and parents, again, it has similar messages explaining to parents why this is important, essentially from K to 12, not just in your senior year. Exploration needs to start early and at different levels. The business employer tab has information about how to do a introduction speech. It has information about facts and careers, pieces that they see in their part as well, so that they can help us promote their business, their industry to the community as well. So feel free to check those tabs out. Due to time constraints today, I'm not going to do a deep dive on those particular areas, but again, the link is up top for you to view, and you'll also find it under the prospective student. You'll see a career pathways tab if you drill down on the SunTech website. I'm going to at this point, this is our fact sheet here. I'm going to let one of my co-partners here jump in and I'll control the screen for everyone. Alexa, I believe this is yours.
Thank you, Jen. Can everybody hear me okay? Sound good? Okay. Good morning. I'm so happy to be here. As Jen provided a nice introduction to our fact sheets, I can dive a little bit deeper. So our partnership created fact sheets for the 5 defined pathways, including arts and communication, business, finance and information technology, engineering and industrial technology, human services, and science and health. We utilized our local workforce development areas high priority occupations list, as well as other local data provided by Advanced Central PA's data analyst for other careers and employers found within our region. Because of the vast opportunities and general difference you find between careers found within the science and health industry, we created a fact sheet for agricultural science and one for health science. So what you're seeing on your screen right now is a sample of the health science pathway, which focuses more on the healthcare occupation side of the health and science pathway. So you'll see that careers represented in the bubbles, which are found on, it's a double-sided sheet, so it's on the front page. So the careers represented in those bubbles represent high priority occupations, and were selected to intentionally show a variety of careers that require different levels of the required training and education. So students can check out those average entry annual wages, as well as what type of education and training is required to obtain employment for those occupations. The backside, which is to the right of your screen, it provides further information, including some courses that districts might offer related to this pathway. Additionally, we wanted to highlight the CTE programs available at SUN for students to consider when browsing this fact sheet. And finally, you'll see that there's a list of additional healthcare occupations highlighted, showing the required education level, the average entry and annual wages, as well as job projections. So due to space, we did crop the sheet. I believe Bernadette may have typed a link into the chat, but also there is a link on this screen showing you exactly how to get to this page. So what you're not seeing on your screen right now, but are certainly welcome to come visit later, is a section on the front of this page which highlights a sample of employers found in our local area that hire for occupations found within this pathway. So really, it's a great entry exploration tool that students in schools can use to learn more about the careers, the wages, the education levels required for those highlighted occupations. And we really hope that these pathway fact sheets are igniting interest in dialogue for students and with their teachers and counselors to get them to understand what they don't already know. The sheet you're looking at now is an engineering and industrial technology pathway. So here again, like I mentioned earlier, the careers highlighted on the front represent high priority occupations in the central local workforce development area. And again, we really wanted to highlight different careers that show different requirements for education and training, and really give students a nice little glimpse of what is available in this field, what types of wages they can expect, and what type of education and training is required to obtain those employment opportunities.
Thank you, Alexa. I'll also add thanks to Alexa and her team. These are updated yearly, and they are specific to our central region here, using that data that's shared by the Department of Labor and Industry. If you don't receive that currently, it is delivered to each of your career and technical centers every fall. Typically August is when this data comes out for your region, and we then pare it down to fit the sheets as Alexa had mentioned. And I think this is great here to show too, our goal with these is not just focus on education, but work from all levels of education, not just at a degree level. So thanks, Alexa.
Of course.
One of our next initiatives was to work with Mark Perna, who visited our area on 2 different occasions to talk with leaders about his work. And I'm going to share, let Bernadette share this piece with you.
Great. Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Both Jen and Alexa did a really great job at kind of building that why for educating a student on all of their options, aligning those options to a student's, skills and abilities and interests, and then determining what career might suit those skills and interests, therefore aligning the proper training with whatever that career outcome is. Jen, I loved when you said, college is not the end, college is the beginning, and college is not the only beginning. So a big part of all of this conversation is about making sure that there's an awareness of options so that kids can make smart choices. Another way of looking at this is a career tree. So as Jen said, several years ago, Mark Perna came to visit the CSIU region, and he gave a presentation about a book he wrote called Answering Why. I'm going to just drop in the chat. I've been dropping links in here. I understand you can't access the links, through the Zoom. So I've been dropping them in, and I think you'll have access to this PowerPoint later. Answering Why is really about the millennials and those generations that follow them in the workforce. They ask the question, why? Why does this matter? And so he tries to really address that by what he calls unleashing passion, purpose, and performance in younger generations. And what this career tree does is takes a certain occupation. And let's see, in this one here, we're looking at hospital careers. And it looks at all of the different careers that exist within a hospital career. And there are entry-level careers that a student can unlock, is a word that he'll often use, or access with maybe very little training. But if they want to move into a technical career, they may move into that career by experience in an entry level or by gaining some additional. And then the professional career might be one that actually requires that 4-year degree. It may also be based on experience within a technical or entry career. So there are multiple ways to move through these levels. It is not a hierarchy, nor is it defined by salary. So just because it's a professional career, you may not make more money in that professional career than you will a technical career. And those of you on the call, you know, who know about workforce development, many of our technical careers have minimal technical training and very high salaries upon completion of that training. And so, you know, just really, he talks about talking with students about what kind of lifestyles they want. And, you know, really, if you look at the roots of the tree, what professional skills do they have? What academic skills, experience, what's their passion, to try to make better choices. Next slide, please. What we did as a Pathways partnership, along with Advanced Central PA, was we pulled together people from workforce, people from education, and we created groups around career clusters. And we created trees as a region. So the tree that you just saw was actually created in a professional development experience. And when you sit down in this career cluster, you'd be with some hospital experts, people in healthcare. You might be with someone who teaches health occupations from a CTC. You might be with a science teacher from public ed. So let's talk as a group about what we see in our region as the entry-level careers, the technical careers, and the professional careers. And that's the dialogue that takes place in this kind of professional development, where we would fill out these various, about 12 for each level, and then that populates the tree. And that rich conversation is also great professional development for anyone participating in the process. Next slide. This is another example, because Alexa showed us some healthcare, the pathway page, and also showed us something from industry. So this was one of our manufacturing trees. And, you know, again, when you get this PowerPoint, you can kind of zoom in a little bit and see the kinds of things we're looking at. But our workforce, labor and industry informed this tree, right? So we had people from factories and manufacturing in our area saying, these are the jobs that we need at these various levels. The next step is to align training to these and really make sure that if a student says, and you can use these trees interactively with students, they could put a little leaf next to the career that they plan to pursue, the first career they plan to pursue after high school graduation, you know, and in doing that, it's really making it much more concrete, you know, what kind of training might I need to obtain this career? So there's a manufacturing example as well. Next slide. Okay, but first, before we go to Portrait of a Graduate, let's go back one more slide, Jen. I'm going to just kind of ask Alexa to talk a little bit about how that partnership between the CSIU and Advanced Central PA funded a project like this, because some of you participating in this session might say, I would love to do something like that. How is that even possible?
Sure, I'd be happy to add some information about that, Bernadette, thank you. This initiative is so valuable, and there certainly was a cost that came with it. But by partnering with your local workforce development boards, which each of you do have in your area, there are opportunities to work with them and to identify through different grant opportunities if something like this would be possible. So in our area, we leveraged 2 different grants to support this initiative. At the time, we had a business education partnership grant that we were able to leverage funding from to support the professional development with Mark Perna, the activity and event where we were bringing together education and industry, and then printing costs. As Bernadette said, this is an interactive tool that can be used as each district sees fit. So, there were a lot of costs built in, but we were able to support it with not only the business education partnership grant that we held, but also through a partnership that we had with the CSIU with a teacher in the workplace grant. So I'm thinking that I hope most of you have at least heard of Teacher in the Workplace in your districts. It's a wonderful opportunity, and it takes place in a variety of formats. You can have your traditional Teacher in the Workplace where educators go out and spend time with business and industry and then come back and implement what they learn in their classroom. But we were able to get creative through our Teacher in the Workplace funds by bringing this initiative to educators and businesses in our region. So we were able to bring this to life by kind of braiding and blending funds and leveraging, time and resources that we all were able to bring to the table. So as a workforce development board, I would encourage you to reach out to your local workforce development boards. Right now might be a very good time if you're interested, because the Department of Labor and Industry has a current NGA, a grant announcement out for business education partnership funding. Local workforce development boards are able to apply to bring activities to educators and businesses in your local areas. So perhaps it's an opportunity now. Grants for that are due the 18th of this month. So maybe timely to think about that and contact your local boards. It's a great opportunity to be able to bring this to your schools and to your students.
That's awesome, Alexa. I don't know, maybe while I'm talking a little bit with the Portrait of a Graduate, if there's any links you could drop in there to guide them to where they may find those resources, that'd be super.
Absolutely.
And also it's hard in a webinar. We can't see all of our panelists. And so certainly do want to make this interactive. I did drop in the chat. If there are any questions about our fact sheets or about career trees or about the grants Alexa's talking about, please feel free to drop them into the chat and we'll make sure that one of us is answering them as we go. Jen, anything to add right now?
No, you've both done so well in explaining all of this. And as you can see, I have a very passionate group, and why I think this partnership was great to bring all these minds together, because just the collaboration and the work that's come out of it to create advocacy. And if we were to start this in an individual district, it would be a heavy lift. So this is a great opportunity to bring all those stakeholders together. So nice job, ladies.
Well, I guess this will transition us to the next kind of piece of our presentation. I see we're at 9:36 here.
Bernadette, give me a second here and let me, because I feel like we lost a slide in here somewhere. Oh, let's go back here. Nope, maybe not. I was thinking we did. Sorry about that. Bearing with
That's okay.
Okay, there you go. Thank you.
Sure. So we'll transition now to Portrait of a Graduate. And this is an initiative that, as a partnership, this came out of a lot of conversations we were having in our monthly meetings. And I think those of you on the call, that when you bring industry into the conversation about education, it changes the dialogue dramatically. And you're all hearing the same thing from your industry partners, I'm sure, about what may be lacking in the current workforce, especially graduates, and what are schools doing to address whatever those gaps may be. And, I've spent my whole career in K-12 education before transitioning to the other side of it. And in my own transition, what I wanted, we spend 13 years with kids. What are they truly capable of when they leave us? That's what this conversation was really about. And we wanted partnerships in industry to inform what should the product look like of a public education after 13 years? What are you saying makes for a successful employee and citizen. And so as educators and as industry partners, we tried to tackle the answers to those questions. And I do want to also say, like, you might be asking why? Why do I need another guiding document? I have Chapter 4 standards, right? I mean, PDE gives us tons of continuums. We have the employability skills, the continuum there as well for sort of workforce skills. And do we need something else? I think you'll see as we dig into this, that this is very whole person, that academics is one of the 6 petals that you see here, a very important one, of course, but it is only one. And that's where in the K-12 range, we tend to put most of our emphasis. We wanted to ask, where are the other things being explicitly taught and assessed so that we can really say a graduate of my school is capable of these things. So here are our petals: academically ready, future focused and self-aware, life ready, workplace and college ready, financially savvy, and civic minded. And we'll just dig in a little bit as we go. Next slide. So academically ready is the one that most people will be most familiar with in a K-12 setting. Civic minded, however, is really about when this person graduates, what can they give back to their community in terms of their participation? So each of these petals has a couple of key pieces that we then truly fleshed out using a variety of sources from PDE. When you dig into civic minded, for example, the 3 checks at the top, those were on the petal. But what does it mean to contribute to community? Well, maybe you volunteer. Maybe you, hopefully, you're respecting all of the laws, something that's worth talking about sometimes, becoming a contributing member of society. Knowing how to vote. Do you know how to register? What's the importance of voting? How do our local systems even work? And knowledge about current events. What are the sources? Talking to kids about the sources they're getting their current event information from. So there's an example of what it looks like to dig deeper. In the next slide, you'll see how we dug a little bit deeper into academics, I believe. And again, this is really drawing you back to the standards, but broadly. So in the end, after meeting all of those Chapter 4 standards, can you truly read for understanding? Can you think critically? Can you, calculate with fluency and write with clarity? These are the things employers are saying we really need students to be able to do. Not specific to all of the individual silos of courses they took in high school, but in the end, are you capable of these things? We go to the next 2 petals here. The one I think as a group we spent a lot of time talking about was this future focused and self-aware. And certainly the financial piece as well, which Sandy is very passionate about, and we'll talk to you a little bit later. Next slide, so we can dig in a little to the future. We'll start with financially savvy. So beyond the specifics here, can a graduate set financial goals, understand how to live within a budget, manage their money? You see, these are broader than the academic standards, but it's really testing the outcome. Next slide. The place we did really spend a lot of time debating about is, what does it mean to be future focused and self-aware? Where in your K-12 curriculum are you working with students to truly be able to identify their personal strengths and abilities? To understand, I know we keep coming back to this point, but that those strengths and abilities are going to result in a range of post-secondary options, and that you want to find the right one for you to meet your career goal without, as Jen said, perhaps putting yourself in debt. I'm wondering if those sitting on the call know the data for your students in terms of what percentage go to a 4-year college or a 2-year college, and what percentage finish in 6 years. If you don't know your local data, I would definitely encourage you to find that out. You can use National Clearinghouse data. It's very inexpensive to get access to it. And it tells a story that will help you define your next steps in a graduate that can have really great outcomes. The last piece here is creating that career plan. And it's okay, Jen, you can stay there, but really working with kids to identify and select those 1 to 3 viable career options using the fact sheets, using that career tree. All of these things fit in here. And we saw future focused differently than life ready and differently than work college ready. So that's how we kind of separate these out. Next one. And again, I'm not going to read each one, but you'll see that what it means to be workplace and college ready. And by the way, Jen could speak to this too. We had a lot of debate, but we put workplace first because remember, college is a means to their job. It's not the end. Look at these 3 categories: communication, technology, and professional skills. So we could spend a lot of time working with kids just on this one screen here. And when we hear from workforce and industry, it is often some of these professional skills that they do see lacking that we need to work on. Next slide. Life ready. This was one that as a group, again, pulling from all of our sources, what does it mean for a student to be life ready? Those positive relationship building. I'm sure there are a lot of school counselors on here, in your ASCA model, it's touching on all of these different areas. Can they build positive relationships, embrace diversity, be empathetic, see a different perspective? The social emotional wellness pieces are in here. And then I love practices healthy habits and decision-making. What does it look like to actually do that? We tried to map that out. Okay, next. So that was sort of an overview of the portrait of a graduate. It took a while to create. We really wordsmithed this and tried to find the things that represented our region as specifically as possible. I think it has application for a much broader region. This is something you certainly could steal and use without question. But the power of it, I think, comes when the individual district commits to using it. And that's what Dr. Maddox is going to talk to you a little bit about.
Bernadette, I'm going to stop. We have a question from the panel and I'm going to go, or from their group, and their question is under career exploration. How could it play a part in being workforce ready, college ready, life ready, and helping instructors identify the strengths you spoke of?
That's a big question. Well, I mean, I think all of this is career exploration, right? So career exploration is this rather large thing that we try to chip away at with kids. And Jen, I heard you say earlier, why is it, why should I be talking to a kindergartner about this? And I think, when you look at the career education and work standards, I know Alice Justice is on this call and I hope she's giving me a thumbs up right now. Have those.
I am.
The career education and work standards have those wonderful bands of grade bands that I think can really help a district work through that, as you ask in your question here, workforce ready, college ready, life ready, because it talks about the way we can help kids fantasize about a career and then start to really identify their own strengths, talents, abilities, passion. How do those things align to some of the careers they might want? Move out of that fantasy into something more realistic. What are the jobs in your area? So now I think, okay, I definitely want to be, I'll use an example, right? Moving them from NFL football player, for example, right? That's what all the kids want to be when they're young, but then moving them into something more realistic. But if they want to be study aquamarine studies, but they live in landlocked central PA, are they willing to move? So what these bands take you through is how to work with kids to get from fantasy to that crystallization, right? By having all of those conversations and experiences. Alice's hand is up. Go for it, Alice.
So, and not to forget their K through 12 guidance plan, because taking those standards and the ASCA mindsets and behaviors and the career ready skills and making that umbrella that allows you to organize not only that, but every other Pennsylvania Department of Ed initiative that comes down the line, all of that stuff fits together. And if you use your plan, you can figure out how to do it wisely and efficiently.
And I think, Alice, that's such a great point, because the plan helps you figure out where everything's happening. And I think the biggest struggle, and Sandy can certainly speak to this, I was a director of curriculum for many years in 2 districts. All of these things feel so important, and yet somehow they feel hard to fit in to everyday K-12 education, but there are ways to do it and to do it effectively. And you know, this is where Sandy can talk about how she hopes to be able to use this portrait of a graduate to move that work along. So maybe that's a great transition.
Okay, good morning. I am also very pleased to be here as part of this very passionate group regarding careers. In Mifflinburg, we're very early in the initiative, but I plan to move this forward. Our efforts have been delayed somewhat with the ongoing COVID-related issues with which we are dealing still on a daily basis. But I am proud of us and this group for continuing to move this forward as best we can. I particularly like the portrait of the graduate because it will provide transparency for our students, families, and community members regarding what we engage our students in during their school days. And I do not want to lose sight of this. The academic standards, of course, are a big part of what we do in our schools, but we prepare our students for their futures in other ways as well, whether their futures include career, college, or military. And as Bernadette mentioned, you know, it's really hard to fit all this in. But I really feel that if we map this, which I'll talk about in just a couple seconds, I think we're probably already doing a lot of this. We just have to figure out where exactly we're doing it so we can identify that and inform community where we're doing this and how we're doing it. So employers have expressed their thoughts with us regarding what skill sets they would like to see in future employees. And this portrait of a graduate project allows us then to build relationships with the industries and businesses in our local area. We often are asked from community members how we are preparing students for the future, and their input is greatly appreciated as well. I would like to take this document and make it our own for my district, for Mifflinburg Area School District. So my plan is to meet with groups of educators and be able to map where exactly we expose our students to the criterion and teach those skills that we and others have determined to be important. For example, Jen has up here the financial savvy pedal. So where in our curricula do we address with our students personal budgets and living within one's means? That's important for kids just graduating to understand and be able to do that. Do we prepare students to be financially responsible with credit cards and teach them how to save money and invest for their future? So that's just one example of financial savvy pedal. So all these things are important. And the collaborative effort of all stakeholders is how we can be more transparent, continuously improve our practices, celebrate what we do well along the way, and know that we have mentored our students to be the best they can be when they leave our district.
Thank you, Sandy. I think one of the other things that we've talked about in our group is could we micro-credential this even? Like if a district really decided like, I'm going to do this, like we're going to figure this out, you're going to get like a badge for every pedal that you complete, you know, thinking about gaming societies and all, I mean, these are like down the road, we're not here yet, but really thinking about, is there a way that when a graduate leaves a district, we can really say they have owned all of these things, and perhaps the workforce waiting for them could see that they have completed these things in a tangible way. So another discussion for down the road.
Right, a certificate that they could actually present to their employer in an interview.
So thank you, ladies, for that synopsis of it all. And I think we're right. You hear the saying, it takes a village to raise a child. And this is an example of why it's not just the academic piece. There is a whole host, and we as educators can't do it alone. You need that community to pull those resources in and help students, and also then address those employability skills that our business and industry keeps discussing and sharing the need for. So thank you. Next, we'd like to have Alexa jump on and share with you a platform that we created to help enhance that business to education partnership.
Thanks, Jen. Do I have control at all? Or would you, or maybe I could guide you to some of the pages, because I don't think I can.
You might not be able to try it there for a minute.
Alexa, you are a co-host, so you should be able to see all of your controls and share your screen.
Okay.
So, all right, Alexa, I just brought your screen up. I believe you can see your screen, right? The website or not? Is it still on the old?
Let me try here. I apologize.
All right, Alexa, I think I'm good for you if you tell me where to drive.
That'll work. So I'm going to, I guess, drive us home very quickly. We just have a few minutes, and I do want to be brief in the sake of being able to answer some additional questions and that our attendees may have. So as Jen indicated earlier, there have been so many reasons and that's driving our work. And one of the things Jen mentioned earlier in the presentation was the demand on employers and not maybe being able to meet that demand. And what I'm talking about is pre-COVID, there were a lot of requests for tours and career exploration activities. And we were finding through different meetings and roundtables with employers and education and community partners that employers were becoming pretty tapped out with the requests they were getting, and they were coming in many different shapes and forms: phone calls, emails, maybe just if an educator would see an employer, have a relationship, they may ask them, hey, can you host an industry tour? So what we found as a solution was developing this platform called Path to Careers. So Path to Careers was developed by Advanced Central PA with the help of many partners to help really build the connections between businesses and schools in a very efficient way. So the website allows businesses to highlight key information about themselves and then post available career experiences such as job shadows, company tours, co-ops, internships, including when, where, and any detail in between. So it's very employer-centric, but schools are also creating profiles, and they can initiate connections with the businesses on behalf of their students after vetting requests that students send to their advisors with the click of a button on Path to Careers. So what you're looking at right now is a list of all of the businesses that are currently registered on Path to Careers. We have a total of 79 companies at this time that have an active profile on Path to Careers. And when you visit this page, for the sake of career exploration, at the heart of everything, it randomizes. So each time a student visits, they're going to see a different order of businesses. And if they go into Path to Careers and they are looking for a specific experience, they're able to do that by searching experiences. There are different options to whittle down their search results by selecting the departments they're looking for, by selecting the county which they live in, by looking at the type of experience. Right now, and you probably hear this often, there are only 7 experiences available at this time. COVID. We had many, many more experiences pre-COVID that employers were offering students. Unfortunately, with a lot of the different, regulations they had to put in place for health and safety, they had, some of their experiences were taken down. But we are building momentum again to reinvigorate businesses to come and add more experiences to Path to Careers, including virtual options. So here you'll see that experiences such as guest speaker, industry tour are highlighted. When students visit this page, they can check out every single tile of experiences that exist. When they click Learn More, Jen, if you can click on that center one right there, the MSP Industry Tour, a student clicks on that, they're going to go in there and they're going to see what they can expect if they visit MSP for an industry tour. And what's nice is MSP took, a lot of effort and careful consideration and provided information such as dress code, and what they expect and what students can expect. They talk about the departments that are available to be toured. And on the right-hand side, which is really nice for when the educator is vetting that request from a student, they can understand, are there any age requirements? How many students can I take along if they're interested? When is this experience available? So really, it's a nice glimpse of how a student can prepare, how an educator can prepare, and what you don't see because there are login credentials associated for different users, but a student would see I want to go on this tour, and they'd have a button that says request experience. Once they click that, it would go to their advisor would receive an email. They could come in, review the experience, consider if it's a good fit for their student, and they'd have a different button to request the experience. They fill out a brief form about the experience, and then they fill it out, and an email is directly sent to the employer who's in charge of managing that experience. So it really streamlines communication and gets those connections going. That was a super quick breeze of Path to Careers, and there's more. Of course, connections are the heart and soul, but as Jen is showing you right now, there are resources. There's a website library. We have hosted a variety of videos on here that are career exploration in itself. We have so much information. We really want this to be a one-stop shop. And what Jen mentioned earlier, currently all of our Pathways partnership materials are hosted on Suntech's page. We are currently awaiting a quote from our developer. We want to have a nice and unique landing page at the top, like where you see the resources. We want to have one for our Central PA Career Pathways partnership. So that way all of our stakeholders, users can go into Path to Careers, find our page, find all of our resources, and everything can be located quite easily and very accessible. We do have a lot of the resources that we showed today, including our career trees and our fact sheets listed, and it can be found in Path to Careers. So it's really a one-stop shop for our schools to use.
I know there was a question about the course catalogs, and yes, that is another piece that we worked on early in the partnership as we were building those fact sheets, was to take the district courses and let each district divide them by their pathway systems so that they could then be more specific in how they guide their students with those pieces. And as I had mentioned earlier, there are other resources and pieces that we worked on that we did not share because of time today. So please use the links we provided. And as Alexa mentioned, there are so many on the Path to Careers page as well. Just the hour time did not begin to let us share everything. It was really our most recent pieces that you were able to see today. So please share and take some time to look at those pages.